we want to go ahead and add an item for our library to this bibliographic record. We've determined that it's a good record and we want to go ahead and add something. I'm going to catalog for Rutherford today. So how do we add a new item? How do we create a new call number? It's actually pretty straightforward. You can see there are no call number records currently, so we will need to create both a call number record and an item record. You can check multiple branches here to catalog items for. So I can catalog for 4 branches at one time. I just check the boxes. I can either go to the actions menu and add call numbers, add items, add call numbers and items. And after you create the items, you can add item alerts. So you can click here, or you can click add holdings and it will list them all. This will take you to the screen that has various names. Some call it the item creator, some call it the holdings editor. This is where you're going to create your new items. And you can see that the call number label has been pulled from the 082 in the MARC record. Of course, most libraries do not use the Dewey number for fiction items. So you may want to change that to your particular call number label. Some libraries use prefixes and or suffixes, but some libraries do not. So I am logged in at Rutherford and they don't have any prefixes set, which is totally fine. Some libraries prefer to have all of the call number information in the single field. This is where we're going to actually create our holdings, both our call number and our item record at the same time. So it can be very efficient there. You can also batch apply your different settings. So for instance, if you use the same call number for all 4 items, then you can apply it here. So if I want to call this CD FIC, whatever you call it, it doesn't matter to the consortium. It's entirely up to you what your call number format is. So you can use whatever you want. This is just my made up version for today. And you can see down here, I have the owning library call numbers. So if I wanted to add an additional item for the Haynes branch, I could just click 1 and then it would say there are 2 call numbers. So maybe I'm going to catalog one of these in young adult and one in adult fiction. So let's do that and see how that looks. I can go ahead and be sure to set up all the owning branches I want. I can add another one here if I want to. So that will show up in my list as well. So I can catalog as many items as I want all together. So if you get 6 things, you can catalog them all at the same time, and it can be very efficient. All right, so I'm going to have my call number that I want to use. I'm going to apply it in batch. And you can see it shows in all my drop-down menus. I'm not going to change the classification. You can set this in your library settings if you want it to be different than Dewey. And that would probably be the best place so that a cataloger didn't have to come along and change it. But most of our libraries use Dewey, so that's fine. And this is where I'm going to scan my barcode in most cases. But I, of course, don't have a scanner, so I'm going to add stuff. See how it says duplicate barcode? So it will tell you if you're trying to scan a barcode that already exists in Evergreen. So that can be, again, helpful. It doesn't really matter what test barcode I use. They just all have to be different. All right, so in each of these, I have 1 item, you'll notice. But let's say that I want to add for Mooneyham, I want to add 2 items. So if I change that number to 2, it will just add another barcode field for me, and I can add another barcode. Item number is only used by some of our libraries, and so that is not the same as number of items. It is if you have copy 1 and copy 2. That's how, for instance, the Government and Heritage Library uses it because they circulate one of the copies and not the other. And so that helps them sort of track which copy is the one that goes out. Most libraries just leave that blank, but if you want to have a copy 1 and copy 2, you certainly can. Parts, this is where If there were a part label in this bibliographic record, it would show in the dropdown. But of course, this is not generally something that libraries are splitting. I suppose the Game of Thrones CD audiobook might be something that libraries split into two because there are probably like 24 discs there. So you might see parts for something like that. If you split yours, of course, you must apply a part so that patrons can place a hold on the correct item. We won't be doing parts right this minute. I am going to scroll down, and one thing I didn't show you was that you can hide holdings details, so that makes that go away, and show holdings details, which brings it back. You can hide item attributes, which is at the bottom of the screen, or show them, which brings them back. And that mostly just has to do with screen real estate. So if you are cataloging on a smaller screen or something like that and just want to have a little more real estate, you can toggle those. I can scroll down then to my working items. So you can see the working items tab and completed items. We don't have any completed items yet, but if we toggle there, you'll see there's nothing. So we go back to working items, and I want to look for my template. If I start typing, I will find the correct template, or I can choose the drop-down menu. You can see for this particular login, we have a few. I'm going to choose the CD audio fiction, and then I do have to click apply. And when I do click apply, you will see that the fields that are either default or I changed will show up in green. The circulating library doesn't fill, but you can see it says here multiple values. And this shows me how many items I will have a circulating library of Haynes, Mooneyham, Mountains, Norris, and Rutherford, Maine. After I've applied my template, this is the point at which I will want to enter a price. Let's say this is $29.99. Retail value is what you want to put in your price here. This is what will be billed to your patron if they lose the item or fail to return the item. So price can be very important. Otherwise, it defaults to the single price that is in your library settings. So it's important to try to bill accurately for the item, whether it's a $3 children's book or Launchpad or something that may be more expensive. So you want to have the correct price there. If you do want to apply any item notes or item alerts to these particular items, you can do that. Item tags should be used very, very sparingly because they are opaque visible. And so they really should not be used in standard cataloging. Their main usage would be if a piece was missing from that particular item. So if you cataloged something and circulated it for a while and it included a CD of the SAT test and somehow that CD went missing as it was being circulated, then that might be an item tag you would want to add to that particular single barcoded item versus adding a publicly visible tag to all of the items that you catalog, which makes the catalog extremely cluttered. This is also where you can fill in any statistical categories that might apply to one or more of these items. Now, when I apply these particular item attributes, it defaults to applying it to all of the items. But as I mentioned, we might actually want to catalog one of these items in young adult audiobook. So up here where I created 2 call numbers for Haynes, one of those call numbers might be different. So it might be CDYA FIC. I need to see which one I want to change. I can uncheck that one. It's this one, the test 1234455, so that this template doesn't apply to it. I'm going to click, I don't want to click save and exit because I have to do something with this one. So I'm going to choose store selected. And when I do so, you can see all the others disappear. And now only this one is left. And those other ones went into my completed items tab. What I'll want to do is make my change for this particular one. Maybe I want to change this to the young adult shelving location. Maybe I'm going to leave my call number the same, but I want to put it in my young adult audiobooks. And then I will choose not save and exit because I still have more items in my completed item tab. So I'm going to store that one. So I have no more items here. I want to go to my completed items tab. I can take a look and see, yes, my shelving location is different for that one. Then I can either edit. If I find that I did mean to change the call number, then I might want to edit that again. And so I can go back at any time, or if I'm ready to be finished, I can just save and exit. It'll take me back to my holding screen, and I have added all these items. You can see their status is in process,